What if I told you that one of the most famous women in the world once felt completely lost? The cameras flashed, the crowd cheered, and the world saw Angelina Jolie, the glamorous movie star. But deep inside, she felt something missing. She had fame, fortune, and beauty. She won an Oscar, earned millions, and lived in luxury. Yet, she felt incomplete. Who am I beyond the movies? Is this all there is to life? She wondered. Hollywood adored her, but the industry only saw the image, not the person. She didn't know it yet, but her real journey hadn't even begun. One day, while filming in Cambodia, Jolie encountered something that changed her forever. She saw children starving, struggling to survive. She saw families torn apart by war and poverty. And she realized her world and their world were completely different. Her Hollywood life felt shallow compared to the harsh reality these children faced. That night, she couldn't sleep. I have to do something. I can't just watch. But how could a movie star truly make a difference? Angelina didn't just donate money, she took action. She joined the United Nations as a goodwill ambassador. She traveled to war zones and refugee camps. She visited places no other celebrity dared to go: Sudan, Pakistan, Yemen. Paparazzi mocked her. Is this just a publicity stunt? They asked. But she didn't care. She wasn't there for fame. She was there for change. In Cambodia, Jolie met a little boy named Maddox, and her heart changed forever. She adopted him, giving him a new life. Then came Zahara from Ethiopia, Pax from Vietnam. Later, she had biological children, forming a multicultural family. Family is not about blood, it's about love. Being a mother gave her a purpose beyond Hollywood, but the entertainment industry didn't like her activism. They expected her to just smile and act, not challenge the system. Jolie refused to follow Hollywood's rules. She became a director, telling stories about war, survival, and injustice. She chose strong female roles instead of romantic leads. She used her influence to support women's rights and humanitarian causes. Critics called her difficult, but she stood her ground. I won't be the person they expect me to be. I'll be who I choose to be. And that changed everything. As she traveled the world, she saw pain, suffering, and injustice firsthand. She spoke in the UN, demanding refugee protections. She worked in war zones while others stayed safe. She risked her own life for a cause bigger than herself. The world watched in shock. Why would a movie star risk everything? Her answer was simple. If I can change just one child's life, it will all be worth it. Hollywood didn't know what to do with her anymore. She wasn't just a celebrity, she was a global activist. She pressured governments to take action on human rights. She worked harder in refugee camps than in film studios. People started calling her a modern-day hero. But for Angelina, this was never about being a hero. It was about doing what was right. Today, Angelina Jolie is more than just an actress. She has helped over 60 million refugees worldwide. She has influenced policies on human rights and women's protection. She has proven that true power isn't in wealth, it's in compassion. And she left us with a lesson. We cannot help everyone, but everyone can help someone. So, what will you do to make a difference? Even after years of activism, Angelina never slowed down. She co-founded the Preventing Sexual Violence Initiative, advocating for survivors of war crimes. She continued pushing for stronger refugee protection laws across the globe. She used her influence to demand better health care for displaced children, but she also knew one thing: change doesn't happen overnight. If you want to change the world, be ready for a lifetime of work. And she was. One day, a young girl approached Angelina during a humanitarian mission. She was a refugee, forced to flee her home due to war. She had lost everything, but she had hope. She looked up at Jolie and said, "Because of you, I believe I can be someone." That was the moment Angelina realized something powerful. She didn't just help people survive, she gave them hope. Never underestimate the power of kindness. It can change a life, and one life can change the world. And that, in the end, was her greatest role of all. Angelina realized that she couldn't do this alone. She founded programs to train young activists. She invested in the next generation of humanitarians. She passed the torch to those who would continue the fight. The world needs more people who are willing to act. She wasn't just leaving behind a legacy. She was creating a movement. Even as she grew older, Angelina remained dedicated. She continued traveling to conflict zones. She mentored young women and activists. She never stopped fighting for justice. Her story was no longer just about her. It was about the millions of lives she had touched. The work isn't done. It never will be. But every step forward matters. And with that, she continued her mission, one life at a time. Years later, at a global humanitarian summit, a young activist took the stage. She had grown up in a refugee camp. She had once been a child who had nothing. But today, she was a leader, standing before the world. And as she spoke, she said something that brought tears to the audience's eyes. "I once had no voice, no future, no hope. But one woman changed that. She showed me that I mattered." The room fell silent. Sitting in the audience, Angelina Jolie watched proudly. Her impact was no longer about her. It was about the people she had empowered to carry on the mission. And as the young woman finished her speech, Jolie smiled, knowing that her greatest role was never in a movie. It was in the lives she had changed. True success isn't measured by what we achieve, but by what we inspire in others. And with that, her legacy lived on. Even after decades of advocacy, Angelina knew her work wasn't over. Refugee numbers were still rising. War zones still existed. Children still needed protection. She had done everything in her power, but there was always more to be done. One day, during an interview, a journalist asked her, "Angelina, after everything you've seen, do you still believe in change?" She smiled softly and replied, "I don't believe in change. I believe in the people who make it happen." Her mission was never about changing the world alone. It was about empowering others to take action. As the sun set on her humanitarian career, Angelina delivered one final speech to a room full of world leaders, activists, and young dreamers. Standing before them, she took a deep breath and spoke. "I have walked through refugee camps where children had no shoes, no food, no home. I have sat with mothers who have lost everything and still had the courage to smile at their children. I have seen the worst of humanity, and yet I have also seen its best." The room was silent. She continued, "We live in a world where it's easy to turn away, to say, 'This is not my problem.' But the truth is, every human life is connected. And if one person suffers, we all suffer. If you are waiting for a hero, stop. No one is coming to save us. We have to save each other." Angelina paused, looking at the crowd, her eyes filled with emotion. Then she finished with words that would be remembered forever. "Helping others isn't a choice. It's a responsibility." As she stepped down from the podium, the audience rose to their feet, applauding not just the woman before them, but the movement she had created. Her mission wasn't over. It had only just begun.